Hello and welcome back to sim.bc, where it is 1856, so just 5 to 19. I was gonna say 9 there for a while. 5 to 7 in the evening, and today it's been the first day where it's actually rained when I got home, and it sucks. I mean, I don't know if I'm being like blessed in a way that I'm not in Sweden anymore, because in Sweden we have a weather that's bipolar by definition. I mean, at one point it's really sunny, and then 10 minutes later it's raining again. Kind of like in Amsterdam, really. Not in Amsterdam, but in Groningen, where we were this weekend. But today was actually the first day it was actually seriously raining when we went home from school, which was quite unfortunate, but you know what you do. So anyway, I had to run home through that. And not only that, but in school today, guess what we were talking about? I mean, I've been talking culture last Monday, this Monday, the entire week. It feels like I've been talking about culture through this. Guess what we were talking about today, right? In HR and team management, we were talking about corporate culture. Isn't it great? Yeah. No, but it was actually kind of awesome and kind of funny, because I love culture, not love culture, but I like discussing it because it's such a deep topic. And we're back, by the way, with the lamp, because I know that I introduced it 2 days ago, and then yesterday I was all like, well, don't need to use it now, do I? I'm in school, I can just do it regularly. So yeah, that's why I'm using this one too, getting it in. So today, mates, we're going to discuss then corporate culture. No, we're not, but we're going to discuss 3 layers of culture that we also discussed in school today. And what are these 3 layers of culture then? Well, they are, if we list them from the one, what should we say, from level 1 to level 3, is artifacts and symbols is the first one, norms and values is the second one, and basic assumptions and behaviors is the third one. So that's like the deepest level of culture you can get to. Many people, what should I say, simulate this through the visualize this like an iceberg. So what do I mean with that? Well, it is that artifacts and symbols is the tip of the iceberg. It's just the thing you can observe, the thing you can see, but underneath the ocean is so much more culture than you can see with your naked eye. And therein lies norms and values in the first level, and then in the third it's basic assumptions and behaviors. So let's go through them, shall we? What is artifacts and symbols? Well, artifacts and symbols are everything, as I said, that you can see, that you can visualize. And this is straightly used in corporate culture as well, because this is mainly used in order to, well, identify what a corporation's culture is like. Now, there is also an array of different ways to describe a corporate culture, as I've discussed it, or as I have been introduced to today, with the founder being the main cornerstone of how culture is divided and how culture is influenced in the corporation. But that's a matter for another time, so now we're just going to focus on artifacts, norms, and basic assumptions. So, artifacts and symbols is, as I said, everything that you can see. Now, what are different types of things that you can see? Well, you can see champions. And what I mean with champions? Well, champions is basically people, a person rather, or a group of people that other people in the corporation refers to when they talk about stories, when they talk about things that are really good or things that are really bad. You know what I mean? So, for instance, it can be Steve Jobs in Apple. People in that corporation can talk about, well, Steve Jobs, he started off in his garage, he and Wozniak, and they worked together, and he really helped envision this grand enterprise that worked, to grow into what it is today, this multinational corporation that spreads all across the globe, and people just recognize the brand without having to have a symbol, any explanation at all. It's even so extensive that today, when we went through corporate culture, my teacher showed us the logo for Apple because she thought that was so recognizable. So people can talk about Steve Jobs in that sense, that he did a really good job, that this guy, he's someone that people can look up to and aspire to, even within the corporation. Now, I would argue that the same goes for Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Elon Musk. All of these people are champions, standing for, like, symbols for the corporation. As yet again, as I said, people that other people in the corporation can relate to and tell stories about. And this is something that's very visual. I know that people are going to say, well, hey, isn't that norms and values that they talk about it? Because what you talk about can't be seen. But that's not actually what is meant by being seen. Why being seen is just things that you can interact with. And it's the same with the dress code. It's the same with the furniture they have in the corporate, like in the offices and stuff like that. What are they presenting? What can you view from just being there in the room? What can, just by looking at things and listen, what can you observe? That is the first level of culture, and that is, as I said, just the tip of the iceberg. That is artifacts and symbols. Next level is norms and values. And what is meant by norms and values? Well, it's basically what kind of norms do we have at this establishment? What values do we believe in? If we take Mark Zuckerberg, for instance, he seems to stand for, at least in my opinion, lots of innovation, constantly trying to improve, constantly trying to make things better and innovate and find new solutions. For instance, he had this video that he released that I was referring to today during the lecture, and I will leave it in the description as well, where he has this AI that he's not, well, I don't know if he's serious or not, but he's building an app that he used to control a custom AI that is voiced by Morgan Freeman, and this part voiced by Morgan Freeman is the reason that I'm doubting it a bit. Don't know if it's actually a real thing or if it is. But anyway, it's kind of cool that he's putting this out there and really saying that, well, this is something that I believe in. This is something that the money and the capital generated by Facebook is going towards making something innovative, something new. And this is, as much as people can talk about him, making it an artifact or a symbol, or a champion in that matter, it can also be norms and values, because this idea of, well, innovation, it spills over to the rest of the organization. Because if the people can see that the founder is established a culture that is based around, what you would say, innovation, they might feel more, more inclined to do innovation. They might feel like innovation is something that they value quite highly. And norms and values can be all like, well, you're saying hi to someone in the passby. You don't recognize them because they're from another department, but within the corporation everybody says hey to everybody, or you have a different kind of terminology that is the norm to using, your jargon. I would argue that that's a part of norms and values. Anyways, but that's just the norms and values. Then we're going into the nitty-gritty, the meat and potatoes of it, the basic fundamental assumptions that is made within the corporation, and this is the deepest level of culture. Now, why am I saying that? Well, because this is in relation to norms and values. Norms and values are the things that people are thinking about. They are conscious about their values. They're valuing things, after all, in relation to other things. And norms, they know that these norms exist. They might not think about it all the time, but if they dissect it, they would know that it's there. However, their basic assumptions it's like a part of their personality. That has been imprinted on them through this use of, well, not use of, but through them being a part of the corporation, or just being a part of a general culture. They can be a part of a country. They can be a part of a little group after work, an after work group that meets up every day, a part of a group from high school, from university, from junior high. It could be anything, but these are the basic underlying assumptions and behaviors that are imprinted on you as a person because you're a part of this group, or this corporation or this nation. And what do I mean by this? Well, because, what can I say? Basic assumptions is basically things that you don't think about but that you still do. You might act in a certain way and you don't quite think about why you're acting in that way. Yet again, this is something going back to Hofstede, the mental or the programming of the mind, something that you don't know about what you're doing. Yet again, as Robbins, this idea of culture is like water to fish. It's everywhere, yet the fish is oblivious to it. And I would say that the very core of being oblivious to your own culture is based on these basic assumptions and the behaviors. Because, as I said, you will behave in a certain way because you're a part of a certain group. And because you're a part of this group and because you behave in this way, it will also lead you to assume certain things. And I would argue that this is where stereotypes are born, because since you have this underlying assumption and you have an assumption based on the relations with yourself and the other people in the group, and the relation between yourself and the group, and the relation of the group and everybody else. Because you will feel like you're part of this group, you're the part of the corporation, you're part of your team, let's say. Everybody else are outsiders, and you will together in this group make you will make up not make up like, oh, I'm making it up, but unconsciously you will make You will make up different ideas of what other cultures are like and other groups are like. You will come with stereotypes about your co-workers and stuff. And these will be underlying assumptions that you don't think about that you're doing. It can also be that you're part of a corporation and you have these, what you would say, these stereotypical points of viewing a different corporation. Like, for instance, your competitors. You might say that they are bad or they are weird because they're doing things in a different way from your group or your corporation. And this is something that you need to understand if you're a manager yet again. Because if you don't know what the underlying assumptions are within a company, then you're kind of screwed. Because you will implement things and you will say things and you will behave in a way that might conflict with these underlying assumptions. If they conflict with the artifacts and symbols, it's easily correctable. Either you change them or you as the manager adapt to them. I would prefer the latter. Same goes with norms and values. If you do something, people will get, well, they will get irritated or angry or sad at first, but when you discuss it with them, they will be able to say, this is why I'm angry, this is why I'm sad, this is what we need to work on in order to, fix the problem. However, when it comes to these assumptions and behaviors, people are just going to behave in a certain way and assume certain things. They have stereotypes that are programmed into their mind, not because there are a generally accepted stereotype, but just it's because there is a stereotype that has been generated in their group about other groups. It can be positive stereotypes, can be negative stereotypes. For instance, if it's a positive stereotype created by a group A about group B, and you come in as a manager and say that group B is kind of bad, that will make group A not agreeing with you because group A see the group B as very good no matter what they do, because they have made up the stereotype by themselves because of the relation between the two groups. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but it's really important for you to know that this is 3 layers of culture that you need to consider when you're a manager. So it's the artifacts and norms, it's the artifacts and symbols, then it's the norms and values, then it's the basic assumptions and behaviors. And it will take you a long time as a manager when you get to a place to really understand the basic assumptions and behaviors. And I know I've said those words a lot in that specific order, but it's just because I read them off. But it's really, I can't stress enough how important it is really. But you need to actually get invested in the company before you go there, so that you have some sort of understanding of what it's like before you even enter. Because when you enter, you will start making up your own idea of what the culture is when you get into relation with other people. And you can get a very wrong view if you have basic assumptions that are interfering with theirs. Then you might think that, oh, all the people here, they don't work. And that might be because you have assigned them working positions or a schedule that have worked in another corporation, but in this corporation that thing never would have worked. Why? Well, you don't know because you don't understand the underlying assumptions. So these are really important, and those are the 3 layers of culture. And I know that I've said I don't know how to say this or I don't know how to phrase this, and that's because I don't want to step on people's toes here. But yet I want to explain it, try to explain it and take up the issue that it is really important that you know this. And I know that I'm saying this about many things, but especially about culture, because culture is based on opinions. In my opinion, it's based on opinion and pattern throughout, like what has been made before them and what are the stories they tell about their champions that will influence their opinion about something, and that opinion will eventually grow into a culture. So it's very hard to discuss culture, even the concept of culture. So we're going to go through the rest anyway, even though it's lots of opinions. Tomorrow we're going to continue with that. So have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow with more. Have a nice one.